We happen to be a very compassionate people. Historically, you know, one of the reasons that this country thrived in the past was because communities that were separated, in many cases by hundreds of miles, were able to thrive independently. Why could they thrive independently? Because they cared about each other. If it was harvest time and a farmer was in the apple tree picking apples and fell out and broke his leg, everybody else got together and harvested crops. Not a problem. Somebody got killed by a grizzly bear, everybody took care of their family. It was the way that we were. It was part of the fabric of America. Interestingly enough, people don't know this, unless they read our book, America the Beautiful, that socialism started based on America. Because the Europeans, they looked over here and they saw all these rich people. The Carnegies, the Mellons, the Fords, the Kellogg's, the Vanderbilts. And, you know, they said, Rockefellers, they said, you can't run a country like that. With just a few people having all the resources and everybody else being poor. You have to have an overarching government that receives the money and then equitably redistributes it. Have you ever heard that before? Well, that's called socialism. But what they didn't understand is that all those names that I just gave you for the people in this country, they didn't act like the land barons of Europe who just hoarded money and passed it down from generation to generation. Instead, they built the infrastructure of this country. They built the transcontinental railroad. They built the seaports. They built the textile mills and the factories. The mechanism that created the most powerful and dynamic middle class the world has ever seen, which rapidly sent us to the pinnacle of the world. And then just in 2009, 40 of the wealthiest families in America pledged to give away half of their wealth to charity. Now, you go to Asia, or Europe, Africa, South America, ask the 40 wealthiest families to give away half of their wealth. They'll look at you like you got 6 heads. Where did you come from? You know, this is an American phenomenon. Who is always at the front of the line when there's a disaster somewhere in the world to help? It is we. You know, that's the kind of people. And that is the residue from our Judeo-Christian foundation.
That's right.
And we should not allow that to get away from us. But what has happened is we've kind of redefined compassion. You know, when a lot of people have criticized me, they say, Carson, you grew up poor. And you must have had government programs to help you get through. And now you want to abolish all the safety net programs, which is not true. It's just a lie, but you know, that's what the secular progressives do. They just lie like a rug. Well, and anyway, you know, I have no desire whatsoever to get rid of the safety net programs. What I do have a desire to do is to create ladders of opportunity that allow people to climb out of a state of dependency and become part of the fabric of success of this nation. And to me, that is what real compassion is.
That's right.
That's right.
And that is what I believe is best handled by the private sector. When we build relationships with people, those are the things that I have seen that really work. Government, they may mean well, but it doesn't work. It started sort of in the 1920s with Woodrow Wilson getting into everybody's lives, and it kept expanding. By the time we got to the 60s, LBJ said, we, the government, are going to eliminate poverty. There was the war on poverty, the Great Society. How'd that work out? You know, $19 trillion later, there were 10 times more people on food stamps. More people on welfare, broken homes, poverty, out of wedlock births, crime, incarceration. Everything that was supposed to get better is not only worse, it's much worse. And that's what happens. Maybe the government would be well served to read the Constitution.
Yeah.
So that they could see what they were supposed to do. Now, I guess it could be that they did read it and they got got confused when they were reading the preamble, because it talks about the duties of the government, one of which is to promote the general welfare. They probably thought that meant to put everybody on general welfare. But obviously that is not what it meant. It meant, you know, we should provide a level playing field. We should provide an atmosphere that allows anybody in our society to thrive. And why is that so important? Well, we only have 330 million people in this country. Think about that. Compare that to China with 1.4 billion. India with 1.1 billion. And we're going to have to compete into the future with them. That means we cannot waste any of our people.
That's right.
We have got to develop all of our people. We can't abide a system where 20+% of our students who enter high school do not graduate. We cannot abide a system where we have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the inmates in prison. That is going to destroy us. We will not be able to compete into the future, and we're going to have to place our focus on how do we develop our people. Because for every one of our young people that we can keep from going down that path of self-destruction, it's one less person that we have to be afraid of, or protect our families from, or pay for in the penal or the welfare system. One more tax-paying, productive member of society who may discover a new energy source or the cure for cancer. We can't waste any of our people.